Hello everyone, Gauss is one of the most versatile warframes in the game. In my honest opinion, if I could make a list, I would definitely put him in my top 5 list of most versatile warframes in the game. He is one of the most useful warframes for fast missions and especially relic missions such as capture, sort of spy I guess, extermination and rescue missions and sabotage as well, because he can move extremely fast and dish out a lot of damage with his weapons, with his abilities as well. Incredible crowd controlling on this warframe and a decent amount of survivability, basically allowing him to survive in Steel Path pretty okay, not for too long without any subsumed abilities. Nonetheless, let's cover Gauss's abilities and get into my best case use scenario, what weapons to use and so on and so forth. Now, Gauss's passive is that he has, well, a battery. Like most devices that we have, Gauss is basically like a smartphone. He has a battery and you want to use it and maximize it to its full potential. Now, at the default, he can only access 80% of his battery. Activating Redline, which is his 4th ability, you will have access to 100% of his battery. Now, the thing is, of course, you charge this battery by moving, activating abilities, and of course, just doing stuff with Gauss, mostly moving around and using around his abilities. And now, keep this in mind, most of his abilities are dependent on his battery. So let's say your battery is at 80%, that means your, for example, 2nd ability is gonna give you 80% damage redirection or reduction. So keep that in mind. Where it is, of course, influenced by the battery, I will mention it. But let's get into his abilities. Oh yeah, there is one more thing, is, of course, when it is maximum, the battery that is, you can, of course, gain 120% recharge rate for your shields and 8% for recharge delay when the battery is full. So keep that in mind. Now, Mach Rush is his 1st ability, allowing you to move incredibly fast and also firing off bolts of electricity and creating shockwaves, knocking down enemies in the vicinity. And when you hit the wall, you're going to be basically creating a really powerful shockwave, knocking down even more enemies in a certain radius. Now, this ability is one of your 2 main crowd controlling abilities. Basically, this one is going to mainly charge up your battery because you get 10% battery charge on cast and 1% battery charge per hit, so that is really good. And you want to keep on moving as much as you possibly can, especially in Steel Path, because the longer that you stay still, the higher the chances of you dying actually are. But really good crowd controlling ability, at least in the direction that you're running in. Kinetic Plating is his 2nd ability, basically allowing you to convert everything, I guess, physical heat, cold and heat blast into energy, and also giving you basically a damage reduction to those abilities, giving you stagger knockdown resistance as well. Now, this ability is your main survival ability. This one is going to be basically used all the time. It does drain your battery, but it gives you energy in return, so that is really, really good. Making it incredibly nice for gaining energy. Of course, the damage reduction is of course affected by a battery. So if your battery is at 100%, you basically have 100% damage reduction. Keep this in mind, you're not going to be invincible, you're just getting a portion of that damage reduction. So keep that in mind. Thermal Sunder is his 3rd ability, the best crowd controlling ability of Gauss, and of course the subsumed ability for this warframe. By pressing down the 3 key, you put a cold status effect in a certain area. If holding it down will give you heat, and then combining the 2 will give you blast. Now, when your 4th ability Redline is active and your battery is at 100%, you have a 100% freeze chance and also an ignite chance if you are using fire. Keeping in mind mind, fire does actually reduce enemy armor, so that is very, very good, and it does make them do this sort of like, oh no, I'm burning animation, so that's really good. But honestly, if you want to have less enemies shooting at you, Redline, having Redline active, and then activating your cold is going to be very nice because, you know, enemies that are frozen and not burning for a couple seconds are much better enemies, but you do have that trade-off that heat does reduce enemy armor. And of course, Redline, his 4th ability. Activating this ability supercharges Gauss, allowing the battery to reach its full potential 100% and going even further beyond, firing basically bolts of electricity when they are when the enemies are nearby. It does say electricity, but it does impact and puncture damage, so just keep that in mind. And what this ability does is increase your fire rate, attack speed, reload speed, and holster speed tremendously, and that is, of course, as I said, affected by, and I think we all know, the battery level. So it is, all of these abilities are affected by mods as well, so keep that in mind. Not having any mods and just relying on the battery is not going to make this Warframe incredibly good. This Warframe is one of the few Warframes in the game that is really reliant on every single attribute of the actual Warframe. So we need power strength a little bit, we need duration as well, we need a decent amount of range, and efficiency would be pretty good because without your abilities you are pretty much dead in the water. So basically, what my, at least, Steel Path build looks like for this Warframe is like this. We have Corrosive Projection, we have Rush, because, of course, the first ability, Mach Rush, is affected by sprint speed, so Mach Rush is incredibly good here as well. You can put Power Drift, but an Archon Shard would be much, much better. We do have Prime Continuity for duration, we have a Rolling Guard, Primed Flow, Augur Reach, Stretch, Streamline, Umbral Intensify, and Archon Vitality. Now, Mote Augmented and Arcane Guardian are here. Arcane Guardian for a little bit of survivability, but this one is, I honestly think, something that you can just freely choose whichever arcane you want. Arcane Energize, in my opinion, is not needed for this Warframe. With the Kinetic Plating ability, its second ability, honestly, you do not need any regeneration abilities for your energy, in my honest opinion. And Mote Augmented is one of the ones that I wouldn't definitely change out. Now, yes, Brief Respite can be used because his first ability recharges a decent amount of your shields back and is gonna be the one ability that you're gonna be spamming literally all the time, so Brief Respite is an amazing option to do and use with Gauss. Gauss, I was actually surprised by how easily, to some extent, he can survive in Steel Path. He wouldn't be my first pick, at least, you know, in my opinion, but as a Warframe that buffs your weapons and crowd control is incredibly good, somewhere in the top tier of Warframes that crowd control, is actually pretty decent at Steel Path. Now, keep this in mind, with this Warframe, because of Redline increasing your fire rate, attack speed, slash speed, melee attack speed as well, you do need faster weapons. Now, the Exceltra is a perfect pairing for this Warframe, but sadly the Exceltra is not one of the best weapons in Warframe for Steel Path. Now, the first weapon that I use in the gameplay is going to be the Lachon Wraith, the Lachon Wraith Incarnate. And it's really good, but you do have to stop for that brief period to actually charge up the Incarnate form, but I do use the Trumna as well. The Trumna is a decent weapon, a really good weapon, and a fast-firing weapon with an alt-fire that can really easily take care of Acolytes if you aim it well, but if you don't, then it's gonna be a little bit of a hassle. Nonetheless, melee weapons, fast melee weapons such as the Cronin Prime, the Kana Prime, Reaper Prime would be definitely beneficial. I don't think heavy attack weapons are gonna be that useful on Gauss. I mean, you can use the Glaive Prime and just pretty much blaze through Steel Path without any issues, but you know, that is somewhat of an option. Nonetheless, as a survival Warframe, he is pretty good, but the Relic Runner Gauss that I have on the screen right now is the one that I use for Relic running, so it doesn't matter if it's Neo, Oxy, Lith, Meso, it doesn't matter if it's Extermination or Capture, this Warframe does the job. Basically, the build is pretty much the same, but we do have overextended Blind Rage and Fleeting Expertise for that extra efficiency, and of course for that extra power strength. Arcane Energize is needed here because we do have Blind Rage and Molt Augmented as well. Now the Archon Shards that I would definitely recommend you put on him are Amber and of course Red, increasing the power strength and also decreasing the casting speed. So those are my honest recommendations for Gauss. You have two builds here that are the ones that's gonna allow you to survive in Steel Path and even inside of the the Duviri experience, not the Duviri experience but the other one, the circuit. Yes, there you go. And of course you do have the Relic running Gauss. As I said, Gauss is one of the more versatile Warframes in the game. He is really enjoyable. He got a new skin as well, which made me make a video on him, and I never did make one. Nonetheless, I do really love Gauss. Definitely, I do push you guys to give it a try and use him. So, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do leave a like, comment down below on what you think about Gauss, and of course, do subscribe for more content. This has been your lovely host, The Gaming Weasel, over and out.